Good afternoon. For those that I haven't had the opportunity to meet, I'm Dennis Stamper. I am a chaplain here and also over at our sister hospital over at Caroline's Healthcare System Blue Ridge, which will always be known as Grace. But we have gathered here together today to remember, to honor, to celebrate the lives of some very dear people who have been very special to many of us. It's a good thing to be able to celebrate and remember together. For it is a special thing to know that a person we loved and cherished and now remember so fondly was also loved by others, and they made some difference in their life too, and that they remember them too. But there is also, of course, another side to the remembering and the celebrating and the life of someone who is now gone from us. And that is the grieving and the mourning of our loss. And it is a good thing that we can grieve together as well. For grief can be a lonely place to be. But in joining together, we are reminded that we are not alone, that loss and grief will someday be a part of all of our lives if we have the courage and the goodness of heart to love and care for another human being. Poet Mary Oliver tells us, to live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. And that captures so much right there, doesn't it? And that is our task, isn't it? Not only in this moment, but throughout our lives together, to somehow find a way to love and to hold close and to let go, sometimes all at the same time. And it is only faith, my friends, that can allow us to do that. Jesus said that with faith, even the size of a mustard seed, that we can move a mountain. And we can. Even this one. Faith, you see, is not always about being certain and sure of where we're going. Faith, you see, is the thing that allows us to somehow find the strength and courage to go there anyway. It is faith and only faith that can allow us to say with the 4th century Julian of Norwich, all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. I saw a cartoon once that showed a man lying in a hospital bed surrounded by people who seemed to be his loved ones. The caption to the cartoon showed the man in the bed saying, "These are my last words." No, wait. These are my last words. No, wait. These are my last words. Part of the humor that I find in that cartoon is in realizing, perhaps unlike that man in the bed, that there really is no such thing as last words. For even after we are gone, the lives we lived and the lessons we taught and the love we shared continues to speak, even more clearly than our mouths could ever utter. And that is at least a part, I think, of what eternity is all about. Death, you see, ends a life, but not a relationship. Writer Frederick Buechner puts it well. When you remember me, Buechner says, it means you have carried something of who I am with you, that I have left some mark of who I am on who you are. It means that you can summon me back to your mind, even though countless years and miles may stand between us. It means that if we meet again, you will know me. It means that even after I die, you can still see my face and hear my voice and speak to me in your heart. The lives we touch, you see, for good or ill, will touch another life and still another. Until who knows in what far off place our touch may be felt, even from one generation to the next. Those that we remember here today have not spoken their last words still yet. For you and I are doing that. And the life and love that they lived will continue as we touch others, as they touched us. Yes, it is undoubtedly true. The death of someone we love is, simply put, hard. There's no way and no reason really to deny that. And yet death is not a cosmic mistake. For you see, the presence of death deepens our appreciation of life. The more we embrace our mortality, not as a mistake of God or an aberration of nature, but as an agent urging us on to live and to love to the fullest, and the more our anxiety and our grief can be transformed into feelings of awe and thanksgiving and appreciation. Life, you see, is made so precious because it ends. Death tells us to neither waste time nor hurry it along. It reminds us to tell our friends and our family and maybe even the guy on the street right here and right now how much we love them. It's a lesson we ought never to forget. As I just mentioned, I am not only chaplain here, but I'm a chaplain at the hospital as well, and I've been so for quite a long time now. And over those years, I've seen some incredibly moving and powerful things. I remember sitting one day at the foot of the bed of an elderly lady who was dying. Her adult son and daughter were sitting on each side of her bed, each holding a mother's hand. The lady's husband sat in the chair next to me. The husband still suffered the effects of a stroke he had had several years earlier. Although his physical strength and capabilities had mostly returned after the stroke, he had never regained the ability to speak. He could make some sounds, and occasionally an odd word or so would come out, but he had been void of purposeful verbal communication for several years now. When the woman finally breathed her last breath and the monitor revealed that her heart had stopped, her children began to weep softly. I watched as the husband stood slowly, and it somehow seemed that he was a bit taller than he was the last time he stood. He looked tenderly into the face of his wife of over 50 years. And reaching deep down inside himself and finding there a voice clear and strong, he said, "Okay." His surprised son and daughter turned quickly toward him. He walked to the side of the bed, placed one hand on his daughter's shoulder, and with the other hand reached out to take the hand of his son. He looked into his daughter's moist eyes, and once again he said, "Okay." And then he looked to his son, and once again he repeated his clear and strong words of hope. "Okay," he proclaimed. And it was okay, because he said it was. And you know, I have a sense that that is what those who we remember today not only would, but somehow are saying to us today, and especially to those of you who are family that they love so well. Okay, I think they are saying. I'm okay, and you will be okay too. And we will. Because we know that though their life here is now done, their living continues in the eternity of God and in the persistence of our memories. Yes, I know someone who gave you much is now gone. Someone who brought you joy and gave you love and added meaning to your life is no longer here. And no matter how many words you were able to share with them, there are things you'd still like to say. Someone who was a part of so many of your days on earth no longer walks this earth with you. And life's just not been quite the same since. But you have known the blessing of sharing with another whom you have loved deeply and who has loved you deeply in return. You have lived it all. The laughter and the tears, the singing and the sighing, the darkness and the light. And although you no doubt have felt diminished by their passing, you have so much more been enriched and blessed by their living. So I pray and I trust that as we continue to remember and to celebrate their life, we will continue to find blessing even in our grief. For the God who transforms death into life also changes grief into peace and joy and gratitude. God can, and I trust will, change what may seem today like a wall into a doorway. In the words of an old Gaelic prayer, as the rain hides the stars, as the autumn mist hides the hills, as the clouds veil the blue of the sky, so the dark happenings of our life hide the shining of your face, O God, from us. Yet if we may hold your hand in the darkness, it is enough. For we know that though we may stumble in our going, you, O God, do not fail.